and welcome back to my channel for a live reaction and player ratings live stream following Chelsea 1, West Ham United 0. Thank you, Christian Pulisic. Oh my days, what a week. Why is my camera so bright? Oh my days, like, I've had an absolute stinker week. Do you know, sometimes you're just not on it. And then things just keep going against you. The whole Rudiger stuff, the Arsenal game, Ferrari bottling it left, right, and centre today. I was fuming. Then Jorginho, Lukaku actually does something positive. Wins us the penalty, gets Stolz and sent off. And Jorginho, it's like a foul was given, and he just gave the ball back. That's the penalty that he tried to pull off there. But thankfully, Christian Pulisic turns up with the last-minute winner. Captain America himself to the rescue, as he should be, considering his nickname. If you're Captain America, you need to be there for the rescue. And so he was. Thank God for that. Saved my mood, I'm telling you. I mean, not made up for everything, but saved my mood. I see over 99 comments here in this chat, which I haven't seen yet. And I haven't even done the thingy at the bottom yet. I had a different guy. I'm going to read it again, otherwise I'll ruin it. Aranyak, appreciate you. His link is down in the description. Made the thumbnail for me today. Not usually my graphics guy, so took us a little bit longer. We do apologize. As you can also see, we're not missing two of our usual guests. Of course, Pies actually being at the game, and Con had to pull out last minute because he's not home and then forgot his laptop charger, so he couldn't be on the stream from wherever he is. But we are still joined by three fantastic guests. Jester, I haven't had you on in a little minute, but what better day to get you on than when Christian Pulisic himself scores the winner? I'm sure you're happy, even if the rest of the performance really wasn't great.
Yeah, I'm ecstatic. Of course, you know, the conspiracy theories are out. As I only come on when Christian scores the winner or Christian plays. I only come on when I get invited. So, folks, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah,
I would have invited Jester today, regardless of Pulisic. Once Con told me he couldn't make it, so
yeah, it's one of those things. Sometimes a last-minute winner actually can spur your team on more than hammering a team, because it raises everybody. We were down with the Jorginho miss, but in the end, it's three huge points. We need to stay away from the ass, move far away from them dudes, because you don't want them bantering us all summer.
Fair enough. Sorry if I seem a little bit distracted. The reason that is because Thomas Tuchel has confirmed in a post-match interview that Antonio Rudiger will be leaving the club. Just to read out the quotes. The situation is that he wants to leave the club. He informed me of this in a private talk. We gave everything, me and the club, but we could not fight anymore because of the actions. Probably meant sanctions. But yeah, so that's a bit depressing. I'll get Jem's and Jester's thoughts on the whole Rudiger situation in a little bit as well. But Jem, thank you for coming as well. Appreciate it very, very much. Another stink of a performance, but at least a stinker with 3 points at the end than a stinker with just 4 goals shipped like we have the last few weeks.
I said at the beginning of the game that I just wanted the 3 points. I didn't really care about the performance because we've just not been good at home, have we? 4 goals against Arsenal, 4 goals against Brentford. Like, we just struggle at home, and I don't really know why we can't seem to put in a performance. But we're just a better team away than we are at home. And today again, it was just the same thing. It was just, I know we're going to talk about it a bit more, but I just get fed up with how slow we move the ball. Like, I generally, like I was you, I had the Formula 1 up on the TV. I stopped watching the game. Like, it got so boring and so predictable, and I'm not really happy. I'm not really happy with what I'm seeing, but at the same time, I'm happy that we got the win. Thank you to Christian Pulisic. Don't get me wrong. And I don't know, man. We've got Liverpool in the final in the next couple of weeks, and the way we're playing at the moment just worries me a little bit. So I don't know. We'll talk about it a bit more.
There you go. I mean, like I said, I'm not sure if I only said it off air. I think I might have done. Yeah, I was watching the F1 at the same time. Obviously, until that finished, so the last 25 minutes was full focus on Chelsea. But I will be honest, game was a bit dead. I was fuming at the F1, so I tried to look at it to see if it gets better. It didn't get better. It just got way worse. But yeah, so if I say something that you heavily disagree with, just blame it on the fact that I didn't see everything happen. But I have Clutch here, who definitely saw everything. Maybe Jem looked at the F1 at times as well. But, we'll also have Charlie on in a little bit once Jem has to head out, actually. And he also watched some of the F1. It's what it is. Don't blame us. Blame the Premier League and the F1 for putting things on at the same time. But Clutch, I'm sure you're equally as the boys, but probably as much as Jester, at least, ecstatic today because, I mean, can't go much better for you guys as big Christian Pulisic fans today.
Yeah, obviously, my boy Pulisic, I gave up on him for like 12 hours earlier on in the week, as you probably know from our private chat discussions. But after, my walk, I resettled myself. I still think that he's young.
You found a UFO. It's confirmed.
Oh, yeah, it was a UFO. It's changed my whole life. They told me everything. They knew the future. And they tell me that Christian Pulisic is going to be a very big player for us.
To find UFOs? I'm joking.
Because we always look up.
Yeah, maybe that's right.
But no, yeah, I wasn't totally happy. There's a lot of things I think performance-wise we weren't great. Couple moments here or there. Good for Christian Pulisic to get a clutch goal, but at the same time, we need to start pushing this momentum forward because we were in danger of not losing top four, but having to struggle for top four. And I think that goal was what we need to kind of change the mood around the club. Because, I mean, all of us were doom and gloom for last week because of everything going on around the club, with Rudiger leaving, with getting destroyed by Arsenal, with now Arsenal was 2 points off, now they're not. But everything coming together, and, I think it's just time to move forward. Hopefully we can build from this.
I do want to stay on a more positive note, but I feel like if we don't mention it now, we might forget about it. And also now I have all three of you here. Well, I guess already we've talked about it with Clutch, of course. But for Jem and Jester, let me start with you, Jester. What are your thoughts on the whole Antonio Rudiger situation, if you don't mind me asking? Obviously, now confirmed by Thomas Tuchel. But who knows? We don't know for 1,000,000%, I guess, whether this whole report of his £230,000 a week offer that he rejected, we don't know 1,000,000% if it's true. But my question is just, why would Matt Law, The Athletic, and so many reputable sources risk said reputation just to help Chelsea save face? I'm not sure if that will be worth it for them, so why would they lie? So from that perspective, I think we have to at least assume that it's correct. Of course, it can always be wrong, but we have to assume it's correct. So how do you then feel about it? Do you think he's done us dirty a bit? Do you think it's understandable because he just doesn't know how long the owner situation is going to take? Because, I mean, the news at the moment is that Pagliuca is out of the race and is now between two people and is now another, I don't know what's happening. Who knows whether that's true? Apparently, Pagliuca has no idea about this. So what do you think about it, Jester?
I think he was always going to leave. I think that, he was going to be our highest paid center back that we have on the roster. Okay.
We've ever had more than John Terry, by the way.
Not 200,000. John Terry got more than that, I believe, in his last contract.
I read yesterday that his highest contract was 135k, but obviously inflation changes things drastically. But that could, I guess.
Yeah, I was told he got close to 300k. I don't know if that was.
That's a very different piece of information.
I mean, I don't know who to believe on that.
He's way underpaid then, Rudiger, or he's way overpaid. One of the two.
I don't know. But, for me, he's had some rough times with the English press. Of course, he got the blame for Frank Lampard. I think that was kind of waffle from the journalists. They had to find somebody to blame, so why not blame him? He's been a good servant, better under Thomas Tuchel than any other manager he played under. Mm-hmm. I remember him coming in. I think it was the year that Kante got let go at the end of the year.
Yes, it was at the start of Conte's second season. We signed Rudiger.
Yeah, it was. He was okay, but he wasn't lights out. And now he's supposedly supposed to be a top 5 center back in Europe, which I can name a whole bunch more than that I would want in a singular game. And that's how I look at it. Who do I want in a game if I got to win a final? That's who I consider top 5. And Rudiger, depending on the formation, would not make probably my top 10 because he's very rash. And in a back 4, he's absolutely cannot be rash like that. He likes to get upfield. And because we play in a back 3, he's allowed to do that. So for me, he wasn't going to stay. I don't like the PR saying, well, Chelsea didn't offer him this. They did. He just wanted his cake and eat it too. So for me, You know, if you're going to call Christensen a snake and Courtois a snake, then Rudiger's, you know, he's joining Slytherin because he's right there with them.
Oh, see, now I don't call Christensen a snake myself, and I won't call Rudiger a snake, but I do like Courtois was a bit snaky. Hey, we're grown ups now, and like I'm not gonna hate Courtois for the rest of my life just because he went AWOL. I don't give a shit. We now have a better goalkeeper, or do we? But hey, there you go. I think it's always very interesting when people have slightly different opinions. It would certainly make my top 10, probably 5, but that's so form dependent. That's so like, maybe some of the other centre backs are playing in teams that are struggling overall while I guess we are at the moment, but you know what I mean. Jemdo, your thoughts on the Rudiger situation? Do you think he's doing us dirty? Do you think it's just understandable? Let him go?
I kind of knew he was going to go, to be fair. The only sort of hope that I ever had with Rudiger was when the first initial talks come out that he was looking to leave and his agent was sort of under the radar, hanging around, talking to Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, this, that, and the other. PSG were involved in this, and it kind of like died off a little bit because they didn't meet his demands. I thought there might have been some hope then, but then we got hit with the sanctions. And look, I don't think it's the same as Christensen, personally, for me. I think the Christensen thing, he got offered. All right, look, he got offered 140k. He didn't want to take it. It seems like he's going to be taking 100k from Barcelona to go and play for them. In terms of Rudiger, from what I understand, we offered him, which we're waiting to confirm. It looks like we're willing to offer him over around 230k. The thing that I think made it harder with the Rudiger situation is the sanction scenario, though, because I just feel that he's probably looking at the timing of it all. Him like us is probably not knowing when the new owners are going to be bought through, when the new owners are going to be signed off aside.
I would so love to know if he like asked. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure he can talk to Petr Cech. I'm sure if he needs to, he can get Marina's number, give her a call. I wonder if he asked how long is this stuff going to take and then made a decision or not. Like I really wonder what he was told, because I feel like he must have asked. Because, I mean, again, who knows? Reports could have been true, could have been lying. But the reports were that he at least wanted to stay. Sure. Whether how badly wanted to stay is a different discussion. But maybe it would have at least been his first choice.
Yeah, us not being able to negotiate could have been a part of it. I don't blame him for leaving. If he chooses to leave, look, if we've given him the 230k and he decides to leave because he wants a new challenge, then cool. I'm cool with that. But if it's a scenario of that he would have been willing to stay at Chelsea for that money, but we can't do it because of what's going on right now, and his contract's so close, and there's no clarity around when these new owners are going to be signed off, then I don't blame him for making the decision to move on. It'd be good to hear from him, for me personally, what his decision was made upon from, because with Christensen's scenario, he was welcome before he even got sanctioned. He'd already made it quite clear he was not staying here. So I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one, but we need 2 defenders now. It is what it is. Maybe 3.
That's if we force Aspie to stay. Of course, Aspie has a contract, but Aspie also wants to leave. So first we have to force him to stay. Bloody hell. Apparently Livramento got injured really badly today, so that's brilliant. Fantastic. Clutch, obviously not much to add to this compared to yesterday, but now Tuchel has confirmed it. So any thoughts on that?
Well, like I said yesterday, I wasn't going to give hope until the pen's to paper, but if Tuchel's confirming it, then I don't know how much hope you got left. Maybe 5%, but even then, it's like, but it is what it is. I understand you want to secure the future for your family, and if we know as much, players probably know as much as we do. They might know a little bit more, but who even says that Petr Cech knows anything more than we do? We don't know. We don't know anything. So for us, I think I can understand, like, you want to secure your future for your family, and if Madrid is offering you what you want and it's a guarantee, then I understand taking it. I'm not gonna be upset with the guy if he wants to leave. Kind of same with Christensen. If you want to leave, leave. I mean, that's just how it is. You stick with us when you want to. You stick with us when you don't. Or leave if you don't. Like, that's just how I feel.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but because am I annoyed that Rudiger's leaving? Yes, of course. Would I have been annoyed even if he left with 2 years left on his contract and we sold him? Yeah, because he works in the team. He's happy here. He has, gets on with the manager, gets on with his teammates, and is a big part of, at least in this structure, why we do well when he plays. So that's always annoying when you lose a player like that. It's always an issue. But obviously what tops it off is that we're losing him for free. We didn't sign anyone last summer. We could have just gotten Kunde in. Well, I'm not sure if we could have done. Obviously, that somewhat depends on Sevilla. But still, we could have, I'm sure, gotten that done somehow, which would have made this summer window now a lot less stressful. The fact that we only signed Lukaku, Saul, and flipping Marcus Bettinelli in the last 2 transfer windows under Roman Abramovich is mental. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get back into the game. Now, when the lineup came out, we were initially told that Andreas Christensen was starting at left centre-back. Well, actually, we didn't know which position, but we were initially told that Andreas Christensen would be starting. After first being told by CFC News page that it would be Chalobah that starts. In the end, it was neither. Well, no, it was Chalobah in the end, but then Christensen apparently pulled out in the warm-up because of some sort of stomach cramps. That guy, first of all, needs to see a doctor and get his stomach cramps under issue, because remember the Sarri days? He already missed games under Sarri and Kante, I think, for stomach issues. Apparently he just gets nervous before games and throws up. But who knows whether that was necessarily the issue today. Obviously, he could have had bad fish yesterday for all we know. And then it's fair enough, I guess. But yeah, Chalobah had to come in. So that was the formation. But funnily enough, which I found hilarious, because obviously the whole Twitter, well, Chelsea FT, Twitter community, shall we say, was having a go at Thomas Tuchel. Why would you start alongside Chalobah? Of course he can play left centre-back. Obviously, he's played for Lorient, because that's the same thing. Whether you're playing a bad team or whether you're playing a good team, whether you play possession-based football, or whether you play counter-attack football, whether you play in France, whether you play in England, it doesn't matter. He can play left centre-back. Of course he can. Funny that then when today Chalobah did play, it was Aspie to play left centre-back and not Chalobah. Hilarious. But yeah, thoughts on when the lineup came out, or thoughts on the lineup, not when it came out necessarily, but when we realised what it actually was on the pitch. I'm surprised that it was Aspie at left centre-back, surprised. But everything else was kind of as expected, really.
Yeah.
Oh, Reece James, of course, missing out.
You know, I looked at that lineup and I still thought to myself it was good enough to go and win this game, especially when you saw the West Ham lineup. No Declan Rice, no Antonio, no Bowen. I was thinking to myself, blimey, if we can't beat this, the West Ham's reserves team, because half of these players that are out there, all right, some of them are first team stars, but, you know, we had enough to get it done. Azpilicueta playing off the left doesn't surprise me, because we've seen him do it in the past. We've seen him play off the left centre back role, you know, in his previous Chelsea games and that, but for other managers and that. So for me, I get why he would move Chalobah, rather not put Chalobah there and play Chalobah more in a comfortable position, just because people forget with Chalobah, it's very he's still very raw for me. Like, you know, he's only just come into the team, and I think making a guy play different positions when you're that young and that inexperienced is not the right thing to do. And I think he just relies on Azpilicueta to do that more. Ruben Loftus-Cheek as a wing back didn't surprise me really in terms of Reece James being out. Obviously, they said it was an injury, but then they said it was more of just a resting phase, which was confirmed a bit later. Precautionary, yeah. And then Alonso is just Alonso. We got no choice. And then I was happy that Werner Havertz and Mount was starting personally, because I just thought, you know, prior to the games that we played, they were the best sort of tip free to play, you know, lead the line. And yeah, it is what it is.
There you go. For me, it's not even just a case of throwing him out of position and putting him under pressure. I think it's just we need the left-sided centre-back as well as the right-sided centre-back so much for our build-up that if you put a player there that's not very experienced, that's not particularly strong on his weak foot, that's going to put him in trouble. It just will. That's the reason Malang Sarr gets this spot. Not because he's better than Chalobah, not because but he's left-footed, and he's the only left-footed centre-back that we have at this club at the moment. That's the reason he got that spot. Sure, it didn't work out, but we will never know whether it would have worked out any better with Chalobah against Arsenal. That's just pure speculation. But Jester, your thoughts when the lineup came out? Of course, the Chalobah Christensen situation, but everything else other than Reece James, kind of as expected, I guess.
Well, that was the back three I wanted in the first place. I was on Lewis's stream, and I had Aspie at left center back, Thiago Silva, and then Chalobah, because I thought, you know, Christensen was hurt from the last game, didn't figure he'd start in this one. And he came off at halftime.
He would have done it, then his stomach said no.
Right. Well, apparently he came off at halftime of the Arsenal match with an injury, reportedly. Maybe he pooped himself or something. I don't know. You know, I played with a kid that did that to himself. He got nervous stomach before the game, and he pooped himself and never played again. So maybe
that's
maybe
also
he had
not
that
ideal,
problem.
I guess.
I guess throwing up's better, right? Coming out that end in the other one. So that was my back three.
Hey, I mean, we could have just bought some adult diapers.
Yeah, there you go. I did have Ruben at right wing back. Of course, I had James at left wing back because for me, Alonso looked shattered after the Arsenal game. Fair play. He played another 90 minutes and got the winning
got
assist.
a last minute assist, to be fair to him.
Yeah. Jorginho, Kante I had there. The only thing I had Mount in actually playing as an 8, not a 10. But yeah, that was pretty much my predicted lineup. So it wasn't a shock to me.
There you go. What can I see here?
It's 641 miles.
Yeah, I will get to that. Super chat by Phantom of Many Topics. I appreciate it very much, number one. More directed than Jester than me or anybody else. But Jester, I am in El Paso today until 5 p.m. Come, Jorginho, hop, skip over to the comic book convention. You're in the same state. Not that far at all. Uncle Jester, as obviously his screen name is, has informed us he's 641 miles away. Not quite sure he'll make it by 5 p.m., even with the time difference and, him having more than 20 minutes than it would be in the UK. But I appreciate the donation regardless. Clutch, quickly in terms of lineup, much of a surprise, of course, Reece James, just to clarify, in case we haven't made it abundantly clear, he wasn't on the bench today either. Not only did he not start, he wasn't on the bench either. It was then, I'm not sure if it was confirmed by anyone necessarily, but kind of half by CFC News page, half by Alex Goldberg. I'm not sure if anybody else said it since then. Like I said, I was already having to watch two things at the same time. I could check Twitter as well. But yeah, apparently it was more of a precautionary thing. It's not really an injury. If anything, it's super minor. So hopefully he'll be back for Man United. Apparently it's just, I think Tuchel actually explained it now that I think about it. He just said, yeah, he felt his hamstring a little bit, but they did a scan and there was nothing to see. But they just, better safe than sorry, I suppose. But your reaction to the team, Clutch?
It's about what I expected. I didn't expect Chalobah to play, but obviously you never know if Christensen is going to play these days. Even if he does, he's only going to play 45 and then get hooked. So, yeah, Chalobah, he came in. Good. I was a little bit worried for James, but yeah, it was like you were talking about how the management overload that he's been dealing with and putting Ruben over there. I'm starting to trust Ruben in the right wing back spot even more than Aspie. I don't know how that works, but yeah, the front three is what I pretty much predicted yesterday. You have Werner in good form, so you might as well keep him going, trying to keep that up. Havertz is obviously the best person we can put up front, and Mount also being in good form. So yeah, I was okay with the lineup.
There you go. Let's get into those player ratings. And obviously, starting with the goalkeeper, I say obviously, sometimes we don't do that. But today we did do that, or we will do that. Now, he actually made some saves today. I didn't have a stinker, so that's good. He made that one double save from, was it Jared Bowen? Relatively early in the second half, if memory serves me correctly. That was a good double save. Does anyone remember anything else he's done? Because that's kind of the only thing that pops in my mind, hence why I would probably give him a 7. But
he put one part. He made one bad pass out in the middle, if you remember. It was a bit dodgy, but other than that, I think his overall game was better. Personally, yeah, I agree. He looked more commanding, especially when it come from corners as well and stuff. So yeah, definitely. Free kicks.
Was it Yarmolenko? Okay,
yeah.
Sorry, not Jared Bowen. Fair enough. Would you agree on the 7 though, Jem, or would you go a little bit lower, potentially higher?
6, 7. Oh, go on, I'll just keep it easy. 7. Yeah, that's fine.
There you go. Clutch, 7 for you. Is that a bit high for one double save? But it was a pretty good double save.
I mean, for as low in confidence as he's been over the last couple of weeks, where he's not been that Mendy that we wanted to call the best in the world, I thought that was a pretty good response for that. So I'd be willing to go for the 7 for him.
Fair dues. Jester, 7 too high for you, or would you go along with it?
Well, SofaScore has him at a 7.4. He had 19 accurate passes. He had 3 or 4 accurate long balls. Of course, he had the double save. So 7, I'll go with a 7. That's good for me.
Fair dues. I'm just looking through the stats here. In the end, we had 67% of the ball, 2.52, I guess, expected goals compared to West Ham's 0.51. We had 5 shots on target in the end. I mean, towards the end of the second half, also just before the subs, we had a few decent chances, a few bit of creativity, I suppose. While the first half, it was just all dead. Now, the defense, other than that one double chance, I can't really remember West Ham doing much. But again, wasn't fully focused, so someone tell me if I'm wrong on that. Jester, was I wrong on that? And if I wasn't wrong, we can't really go that low in terms of rating, even if as a whole they didn't play particularly well. And I still think we need to hold the defenders a little bit more accountable sometimes for when we play way too slowly, because we start everything with the centre backs. So if we play slowly, that's also the centre backs playing way too slowly.
Yeah, they really didn't have much. I mean, nothing in the first half. The second half, bar the one double save from Mendy, really nothing. I think there were some poor balls played by Dave again. He got a little bit too far up the pitch at some points of time. But yeah, they were above average. Thiago, is back to being Thiago. I know he outran, was it Said Ben Rama to a ball? I mean, you get outpaced by a 37-year-old. You need. Well, I'll tell you what. If I was in the dressing room, it would have been pandemonium, because I would have slated him. A 37-year-old outran you to the ball. Come on now.
Yeah.
So
to be fair, how old was Usain Bolt when he won his last gold medal? Wasn't he quite old? Maybe some 37-year-olds are just super
maybe 37.
No, I think we were going through this like a couple weeks ago. I think he's like only now just 31 or something like that.
Yeah, close. He's now 35. And when was his last Olympics? 2016. So it's a while ago, to be fair. So we are waffling. But yeah, no, definitely, I do agree. Now, shall we just do all three centre backs in a row? Why not? And why don't you just do all three of your centre back ratings in a go, Jester? Now that I'm already with you.
I'll go 6.5 for Dave. I'll do 7 for Thiago. And Chalaba's hard. He had that good shot on goal. I'll go 7 for Chalaba.
I remember Chalaba having one actually pretty decent block in the box. That's all I remember.
Yeah, he was good. I thought he was better than Dave today.
Yeah. And you could also say that one double chance that West Ham had came from Azpilicueta's side. So he got reasonable. Burned. There you go. Jem, what do you reckon? All three in a row? Not much to do for them, but a decent performance?
Azpilicueta was poor for me. I did not like him as left centre back whatsoever. I thought the first half he was giving the ball away too much. His positional sense was poor. Kept getting caught too far up the pitch. For me, it was a 6, maybe, and even that's being too nice. I'd probably say a 5.5. I don't think he was good whatsoever. I didn't really think his performance was great. Thiago Silva for me is a 7.5. People forget that header onto the penalty, which didn't end up going in, came from Thiago Silva. It was a great header actually into Lukaku as well. For me, player of the season by far. I think he's been that good. And yeah, he's had his couple stinkers here and there, but I think today he really stepped up and showed what he's about. So 7.5 for Thiago Silva. And Chalobah, I agree with Jester. I thought overall he was quite solid, so I'd go with a 7. But bear in mind, he hasn't kicked the ball for a while as well. And this is one of the great West Ham teams that didn't have their strongest players out. But still, he came in, he put some couple good blocks in, took a nice little shot outside the box as well. And,
did you guys think, when he once looked like he was shooting, but then kind of passed it to Werner, do you guys think that was a really bad pass? A really bad shot? Or was it a really great fake shot and then an intentional pass? What do you reckon, if you remember it, Jim?
I think it was an intentional pass, personally. Okay. That's what it looked like, but I don't know.
Okay. I thought he swung like he was about to shoot, and then all of a sudden turned into a pass.
And the one thing I forgot to say is when Bowen came on, Chalobah went to the left and Aspie went to the right. So Chalobah ended playing left center back.
Didn't even realize that. See, that's how much attention I've
paid. Done a good job.
Lester for pointing that out.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll let Clutch go next. Obviously, Aspie now sits at a 6 after a 5.5 from Gem and a 6.5 from Jester. Thiago Silva, we have a 7 and a 7.5 and 2 7s for Chalobah so far. What would you go with?
I'd give Aspie a 6, I think. I feel like he just was fair average today. Didn't really notice him other than when his shoe got ripped in half in like the first half. Thiago Silva for me is a 7.5. I thought he was pretty decent today. He did have that one silly foul on the edge of the box, but you're going to make a mistake every once in a while. But he recovered. Yeah, he made a foul. I forget. I think it was what's the guy's name? It doesn't matter.
Yarmolenko.
Not the one who was playing middle for them.
Pablo Fernales.
Yeah, he got him to foul. And I'd say a 7 for Chalobah. There was one time Chalobah made a mistake in the first half, but he recovered pretty well from it. Made the slide tackle out of play. So I think Chalobah had a very solid day. I think we can start seeing him a little bit more now.
Fair dues. Now, Aspie, I would probably go along with just a 6.5. We will leave it at a 6 regardless, but not because I'm like, oh, he was so great. Maybe I'd go 6 in my head as well, but I kind of want to give him a little bit the benefit of the doubt because no matter who you are, no matter how experienced you are, when you play a new position, and as far as I'm aware, Aspilicueta has never played left centre back in the back three before. To be caught out positionally, sometimes that's only obvious. Like, do you know what I mean? The one problem you're going to have when playing a new position is being positionally always in the right spot because you're not used to it, when to be where, when to go, when to stay. So that's somewhat understandable. Even, of course, if it has a lot of similarities to the right centre back spot, we also have to say Aspie hasn't even played that regularly for a while. So I'm going to say 6.5, but we'll keep it at a 6. And I'll probably just... I personally kind of want to give Thiago Silva and Chalobah the same rating from what I saw. Obviously, Thiago had that header. I'm not sure how intentional that was or whether he just tried to win the header. I'm not sure if he necessarily tried to play it into the run of Lukaku. Maybe I'm doing him a disservice here, and that's exactly what he wanted to do, then fair play. But yeah, also because Chalobah, like you guys have mentioned, hasn't played in a long time and played pretty well. For that reason, shifting positions as well at the end, like Jester mentioned, I would give them the same. So I'd probably give them both a 7. I don't want to go too high because it was West Ham, a B, if not C team West Ham. Yeah, the defenders didn't do anything wrong, but we were way too slow. And like I said, that goes to the defender. So I think 7.5 is a bit high for me. But I'll let you have it just because I'm not gonna overrule anybody today when I was the one that saw the least of anything happening. Marcus Alonso obviously got the last minute assist. Just to mention him earlier already. But Clutch, why don't I start with you on this one? What do you reckon? Defensively, not really that needed, I suppose. But was he any good before? I thought from when I saw things, he was quite involved in things, but not necessarily saying it was always great.
Yeah, I think he was making those back post runs that we kept seeing. That Kante is the guy who I'm thinking of, who was making like the back post crosses in the first half. He was the only one who was kind of making those back post runs. He had a couple crosses that were pretty good, so I'd probably go with a 7. I'll go for a 7.
Okay. Jim, what do you reckon? 7 a bit high? Is it about right? What do you think? Obviously, couldn't be a more decisive assist than that, really.
His overall game was poo. I don't get what people were watching. Like I don't even know how he. Listen, if he's getting man the match over a poo game like it was, then fair enough because he did assist for Pulisic for the goal, and I'm happy for him for doing that. But honestly, 7. Like Alonso is. We know what Alonso is about. Like, there's a certain limit to Alonso, and sometimes he overexceeds it, like he did against Real Madrid away, where he was just out of this world. But again, today it goes back to the limitations of this squad when you have wing backs like Alonso playing in it. Like it's just not. For me, it just doesn't work. He was giving silly free kicks away, slow with the ball. Was slow the whole game. Even when we reached out to the wing backs, he wasn't ever looking to move the ball forward quick enough. I think I'm just used to seeing what he does. Like for me. I think a 7's, even though he assists still too high, for me, I'd go for a 6, personally.
Okay, fair dues. I mean, he obviously got the official man of the match. A couple of people in the chat actually agreeing with that. Now, it's always difficult because being man of the match, to me, and I know people disagree with that, but to me, being man of the match does not necessarily mean you need to have the highest rating. Because the defenders, if they don't have a lot to do but still played a good game, are going to get reasonable ratings, right? They're going to get their 7.5s. Do you know what I mean? But that doesn't make you man of the match. So even if you have an average performance, but then do something decisive, that's what gets you man of the match more than and that doesn't necessarily get you the same rating in my books. Obviously, I understand totally if people see that differently, but fair. We have a 6 and a 6.5 so far. Then, sorry, a 6 and a 7 so far, leaving us at a 6.5. Jester, what about you? Are you more on Jem's side of this discussion or more on Clutch's side? What do you think?
Well, I thought overall Ruben was the better wing back in the game.
Obviously, it's Ruben, man.
Well, yeah. However, I mean, how much do you rate what he did in the dying embers of the game to get us 3 points instead of 1? So his is a very difficult score today because I didn't think, he put in a typical Alonso performance and turned up at the right moment with the pass. I can't really think of anything else he did. Maybe a couple of good crosses, but there was nobody there to cross to. You know what? I'm going to say 6.5. Just sit on the fence.
There you go. And I'm going to bail myself out real hard, and I'm going to agree on 6.5. I'm just going to make it very, very easy for myself. Sorry, Clutch. Sorry, Jem. Throwing you right under the bus here. But yeah, I mean, Jem and Laurie's watching F1. Yeah, I mean, we did. There's no hiding from that. We did. Well, it's not my fault. If Chelsea weren't losing to
you blame us after that. Blame me now. You blame us after watching that for 90 minutes.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Although, other than the first 2 laps, the F1 was equally as dead. So how long can it take them to flip and activate DRS? What's the fun in the whole thing if you can't flip and overtake? Flipping it. Yeah. Anyway, 6.5. Obviously, a fair few people in the chat have talked about 7.5s, but there was also a few 6s in there. So I don't think we're anywhere far off. Ruben Loftus-Cheek obviously gets a 10. I don't know. I'm going to let you guys go first and then add the things I saw and make a judgment of that. Why don't I let Jester go first this time? So we don't let him sit on the fence again.
Now, this one's difficult for me because he was better than Alonso, but Alonso got the winning assist in the game. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to go 7 for Ruben, but that kind of seems awful high. He had 4 key passes. I thought he was probably one of the better players in the first half. Maybe dropped off a little toward the end. I don't think that was his fault. You know what?
You mean end of the first half or end of before he got
before he got subbed off? I thought maybe he was looking a little tired.
Which would be a little understandable, to be fair. He's played a lot recently compared to not a lot before.
But because I'm in a giving mood today, I'm going to say 7 for Ruben.
There you go. See, that's what I do to people. I just love Ruben so much that they feel obliged to give Ruben high ratings, so I don't hate them. There you go. Clutch, maybe we'll let Jem sit on the fence this time. So, Clutch, what do you reckon?
Is that what you say? That you love Ruben so much that you obligate people to give him a higher rating? I'm going to give him a 2. How do you like that?
Please go. Yeah, 2.
How do you like that? Nah, he's a 7 for sure. I thought he was one of the better players on the pitch for me. It seems like he gets so much more space to do what he does best, which is running for the ball or running with the ball down the wing. So, and we might have found a spot for him. Honestly, he's not going to be as good as James over there, but he's definitely better than Aspie at the moment. And I hate to say that, but yeah, I thought he was pretty good today. He had a couple good crosses. I have to say that.
There you go. Okay, 2-7 so far then. So, Jem, you can't just go along and don't even have to, drive people crazy by saying something different. But did you think Ruben was a 7, or is that then too high for you considering he wasn't involved in the kind of giving us the win, but he was part of the team that was so lackluster really in the first half? Even the parts I saw, I was like, if anyone's doing anything, it's Ruben. But again, this is obviously, I have a bias for Ruben. So especially if I'm only sometimes looking at the corner of my eye, I will see him more than anybody else. I'm fully aware of that. So
it's a hard one with Ruben because the second half, I thought he really set the tone well because the shutting down, winning the ball back. There was a moment where he won the ball back 2 or 3 times in a minute, and it just kept sort of the energy just sort of risen from him doing that. And his first half for me wasn't great, but then none of them was. I thought the first half was so bad for all of them, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Second half, he he stepped up. I thought his overall game in the second half was very, very good. I still don't think he is a wing back. He is an option. Don't get me wrong, he can play out there. I just feel sometimes from that position, you have to be good with your final third, and that in your decision making sometimes in the final third. I just don't think he's not his fault, but I just don't think sometimes he's set up to be that type of player to always do that. Like, don't get me wrong, especially from that angle. I like the idea of him running in from as an 8 role just behind the strikers where you can see the full pitch and drive into the space and then make his decision. But when he's sort of asked to be limited and hold his runs out wide and be direct and try and create, I don't know. But for me, he didn't have a bad game. Don't get me wrong. I actually thought he was quite impressive out of a bad bunch for me of most of the players. But I would say probably a 7's fair enough. Yeah.
Fair dues. Clutch, you said fair enough. Clutch, you said you remembered something. What's that?
That like little period of isolated attack that we had in the second half.
Just before the subs, you mean?
Yeah, it all came from Ruben pressing down the wing and winning the ball back like twice.
Sure.
Yeah, very true. Now, I do actually agree with or see what Jem's saying in terms of the final third stuff sometimes. I think that's where you see that crossing is not his natural thought. I think that's what you see sometimes when he gets in the final third in that wingback role. But then it depends on how we play. Do you know what I mean? That's why I don't know, if Ziyech plays this right centre mid person, like what Mount was, not centre mid, right cam person, like Mount was, and then you play Ruben on as the wing back, I think that would make things a lot easier because Ziyech would automatically drop wide as he always wants to anyway, and then Ruben can just push into that central area, and then you kind of take that little problem that Ruben still has in that position out of it. But what I like about Ruben there is, unlike Alonso, unlike Aspi, he gets the ball, and when sometimes he goes back too much, like all of them do. That is a problem that all of our players have, and it annoys me for every single one of them. The only one that maybe doesn't have it so much is maybe Kovacic, but everybody else passes backwards way too much. But Ruben doesn't lose the ball, especially in that position. Sometimes it happens to him in the middle when he tries to go for a run a little bit, over ambitiously, I suppose. But at the same time, when he always passes it sideways, people also complain. So sometimes you have to take a risk with the dribble and sometimes it doesn't come off, I guess. But on the side, he just never loses the ball. And sometimes he pushes us forwards. His pressing seems to have improved. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not going to disagree with you, 7, am I? So I'll go with that. Jorginho. Boy, what a lucky boy you are today, man. Whee! That was one of the worst penalties, you will ever see. Obviously, he does his hibbity hop, as he does. But Fabianski just baited him, really. Because Fabianski baited him to go the other side, but didn't. Basically, just what Jan Sommer did to him twice for Switzerland, just not as hard. But the problem is, Jorginho had a few penalties where after the ones he missed against Sommer, he had a few where he then started to put more power on it, even after the hibbity hop. Do you know what I mean? So he put more power on it, tried to go more for the corner. So even if the goalie baited him, he still had a chance to at least get it past him. But today, I mean, I swear, an infant could have put more power on that penalty than Jorginho did. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was shocking. Before that, I didn't even think he was that bad in the second half. First half, I mean, if we as a team are super slow and super do nothing, then the guy that's supposed to control our pace is obviously not having a good game. Otherwise, we wouldn't be playing as slowly, right? So it can't have been great in the first half. I thought he was certainly better in the second half, but then obviously the penalty wasn't great. So I will... In my head, I was thinking kind of first half 5, second half 6.5, maybe 7 if I push it, which would push me to a 6. But I'm not sure if I want to, because the penalty didn't in the end cost us. I'm not really sure if I want to, how harshly I want to calculate that into the rating, I suppose. Because the problem is with the high ratings we've given so far, I feel like my head is kind of saying I want to give him a 5.5, but I feel like it's a bit harsh. Clutch, do you think it's a bit harsh, or do you think I'm about right there?
I'm in the middle. I thought he had an all right game. I mean, Jorginho was actually one of the only players looking to pass forward, so he was trying to make those line-breaking passes. It didn't work out, but he was trying to do it. which is something we need from the midfielders. We need somebody to do that, and he was the only one trying to do that. I mean, Kante's not going to do that. He's just going to run forward with the ball. But that's the one thing I think if you're going to get the best out of Werner is you need somebody who's going to make that line-breaking pass. So I don't think he was too bad. I'd probably go for a 6.5, I think, overall.
Okay. You know what? I think I'll push mine up to a 6. I'll go with that. Why don't I? So 6.5 and 6 so far then. Jester, what about you? And especially, I guess the big question with George's performance today is how harshly we're going to, include the missed penalty into his overall rating, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know why people were surprised that we were playing so slowly. Jorginho was playing in the team. That's his pace. If you watch Italy play, they play at the same pace. It's never faster. What usually does it is having Kovacic next to him who will dribble past people and speed up the attack. But when Jorginho's on the pitch, this is the pace we play at. It's never any faster. It's just other players pick him up and move the ball quicker once they receive it from him. But this is what we get with him on the pitch. So don't be shocked, don't be surprised that that's the pace we played at. And as far as the penalty miss, look, that was the winner at the time. We didn't know Christian Pulisic was going to come on and do what he did. Nobody knew that. But I guarantee everybody here thought it was done and dusted after he missed that hit.
Yeah, so did I. Did 100%.
Okay, so he missed a winning penalty. So for me, you could say he played an average Jorginho game, which he did. He missed the winning penalty. I'm giving him a 5.
See, I understand. Maybe I'll change my mind again and put it back down to a 5.5 for me. But let's see what Jem thinks. What do you reckon?
I'm not the biggest Jorginho fan, trust me. Like, I've been saying it for a long time that I just feel he's not the right profile player for any of our managers that come in personally. I don't think he's the type of player that we should be relying on.
I agree.
I just don't think he's like him. I just don't think he's the type of player to rely on a 38-game season and help you challenge for titles. He's just not it. Like, he's just not that. But today, I actually thought he had a good game. Before that penalty, I actually thought it was quite decent. He moved the ball quick. He was winning every time they did clear the ball away. It always seemed like Jorginho was recycling the ball. It was when he was always in the right position.
Yeah, he was good at winning second balls, from what I saw.
Yeah, and that was unusual because usually sometimes I just feel like he's nowhere. You know what I mean? Especially when we've lost the ball. I just thought his overall game was a bit better. Obviously, the penalty is probably one of the worst penalties I've ever seen anyone take in my life. I'm not going to joke. Like, it was poor. It was really poor. And I agree with Jester. If you're thinking of it like that, like, that doesn't help his ratings whatsoever, because we go on after that without Christian Pulisic doing what he did. We go and draw that game, and everyone will be raving about how shit Jorginho is and get him off, get him out of this club. So I think he had a 6.5. That's what I'm going to go with, 6.5.
Okay. Just looking through some stats. 4 interceptions, 9 recoveries. Apparently only made 1 tackle, but he won that. But I've learned recently that half of these stats mean fuck all because so often they're wrong. I remember who was it? Like a week or 2 ago when it said they didn't even attempt a ground duel or whatever, or didn't win a single ground duel. And I was like, but I literally remembered them winning one. So how is that possible? How can that be the stat when I literally watched him win a ground duel? So
I think it was Mount.
Was it Mount? Whoever it was. But yeah, ground recoveries, 3 out of 3 ground duels, 1, but obviously missed the penalty. So that really wasn't great. 93 touches though, so certainly was involved. I think I'll stick with my 6. So that means we have 2 6.5s, 1 6, and 1 5, which probably leaves us at a 6, and we move. N'Golo Kante then. From when I watched things, he was actually okay at driving the ball today. Sure, the usual suboptimal, shall I say, decision maker once he gets to the final third. Not always, hence why suboptimal rather than shocking. But But yeah, he doesn't always pick the right pass in that final moment. I remember quite late on just before we got the penalty, he played one pass to Lukaku, which just snatched so much. I'm like, come on, just play to Lukaku's feet. Lukaku was once in a useful position where he could potentially turn and shoot if you fed him, but you just played it way too wide of him. But I think in general, he was quite good. Definitely I would rate him higher than Jorginho, I would, from what I saw. But I'm not sure how much higher. So, Jem, why don't I go with you first? Did you also think he was better than Jorginho, or would you disagree with that?
No, I don't. I think he was very wasteful in the middle, especially when you picked the ball up. He made some weird passes that just went out to throw-ins to West Ham. And I was just like, what are you doing, Kante? Like, there's no one there. Like, who are you passing to? And he done it twice. I think he might have done it even 3 times in the game. He had moments where he recovered well and he won the ball back well and he done what he could. Like, you know, the old Kante in that S. But he just, again, and I don't, he just holds onto the ball too much. Like, he's always like, he gets himself in these beautiful positions and he starts running. Sometimes it gets caught under his feet. Sometimes he could look up when Werner and Havertz are making that run into the space and play it then. But instead, he decides to do this like side run, I call it, where he just runs sideways and then passes it out to Alonso. And it just completely slows us back down again. And out of the two, I know he's not the best he's not like the Kovacic type to go forward and create. It's not his game. But out of him and Jorginho, I still, because of his energy and his speed, I still expect him to just, when he finds himself in pockets, to use that and just
he's
maybe
supposedly world-class. A world-class player can do something.
You know, he's he's an elite world-class player. He always has been. But I just feel sometimes he just doesn't help himself. And today he didn't have the worst game. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't atrocious. He had an okay game, but I don't think it was better than Jorginho. So I'd go with probably a 5.5 personally.
Okay. Maybe that comment about Brendan Tarney, even though 9 out of 10 fall between the boxes is a bit far, but that summarizes Kante quite well, even if I don't necessarily agree on the numbers. In that center of the park, good. He's quick. He runs with the ball often quite well. He tackles quite well more often than not, although the last few weeks I thought his tackling was so off. But then the closer we get to our box, the more suspect I sometimes find this defensive positioning. I'm like, where are you going? I just don't understand. Including one of the goals we conceded against Arsenal. He just closed the guy down, but not properly, and then just left, was it Odegaard or Smith Rowe, one of them, just completely unmarked. I'm like, why? You have to make a decision. Either you close down or you block the passing lane. He did neither. I don't understand. And then once you get to the final third, it's shocking again. I don't know. A 5.5 from Jem so far. Jester, what about you? Did you also think it was worse than Jorginho, or did you think it was better than Jorginho?
No, I actually thought it's the best game I've seen Kante play in probably a month or two. Seriously,
that doesn't mean much, to be fair, but
no, I mean, but I think he's been pants lately. So, he actually had some energy. He had some of the quickness back that I thought he's lacked here recently. He did drive the ball forward. He did try to shoot. Even though, he's not the best, I remember him.
One shot was good. That took a deflection at Fabianski saved somehow.
I thought, I saw a spark of the old Kante, at least in this game, and I hadn't seen that in a while. Mm-hmm. I didn't say, Jim, I didn't say it was sustained, but you saw some of Kante in that game. And maybe, Melina let him out of the basement. She's been keeping him locked up. So if you don't know Melina, it's a joke. So
no, we got it.
But I thought he was definitely better than Jorginho. I thought he was more progressive in the first half. If we're looking for a progressive player, so I gave Jorginho a 5. So I'm going to give Kante a 6.5.
Okay, Clutch. What about you?
What I will say is Kante had a golden opportunity to pass to either Werner or Havertz, who were both wide open, and he somehow found Craig Dawson instead. So that's annoying.
I don't remember that moment, but it sounds like Kante.
It was in the first half. Like they were either one more Kaiso than Werner, but Werner's on good form right now. Had opportunities that he could have played him in. But I think it's just the story of Kante. Kante everywhere else is good. But when you start putting him into the decision-making role, just not there. And it's not ever going to be there. He doesn't make those decisions quite well. So I'd probably sit on what do we give Jorginho? I think he was a tiny bit better than Jorginho. So I'd probably say 6.5, but it's not much better. if you take away the penalty, I'd probably give them both the same.
Say that again. I was trying to figure out how to get this comment off the screen. What was the rating you said at the very end? My bad.
I said 6.5. I said, but if it wasn't for like the penalty miss, I'd probably give them both the same.
Okay. Yeah. 6.2, 6.5, then 1, 5.5. What did I give Jorginho? A 6, didn't I? I think I would agree that Kante was better than Jorginho, if I'm honest. Therefore, I would probably also go 6.5. And 3 6.5s probably outweigh the 5.5 and give him a 6.5. I do apologize, Jim. Clutch, why don't you go first on Mason Mount? His first game in quite a while without an actual goal contribution. He had one shot very late on after we already made it 1-0, which would just over. He had a couple of other shots. At least he went for it. I guess I'd rather someone shoot and it doesn't go great than us constantly passing it sideways when we can't break down the team. Like, sometimes go for the shot. Sure, it doesn't always go in, but I need you to try. So what did you make of him, Clutch?
You start me on probably the most difficult player to rate this. Oh my God. I don't know. I think in the first half, Noble kind of held him down. I think he started to get in a little bit more spaces in the second half. But overall, I think he was probably this. I'm going to go with 6.5, I guess. I don't even know why. It's just a heart feeling. Like, I can't remember that much amount other than that shot he almost made, or that shot that just went over the bar.
Very high. I wouldn't have gone that high, but fair.
Give him a 6 then. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm pious on this one. I'm so indecisive. I don't know.
Love it. Why doesn't Jester go before Jester? 6.5 too high for you? I presume you said man was quite poor, but it wasn't like do you think it was awful, or was it just worse than he was in the last few weeks?
No, again, that's where you get to maybe that front three that started every game in the last 4 games?
Well, Lukaku started last game, but yeah.
Okay, it was Lukaku. But Werner and Mount have played, right?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Looked probably not at his best today. Mm-hmm. Look, I'm going with the Devil's three-way up front today. So it's going to be 6s across the front. So
the Devil's three-way, bloody hell. And the poor Devil, if he sees those three turn up, I mean, okay, 6.5 and a 6 so far then, Jem. What about you?
I think he's... I hate talking about Mason Mount. It just makes me laugh because it's like his outputs are just amazing. But his form is just, I don't know. I just feel sometimes he just goes missing. Like he's just not there. Like, and it gets to a point where sometimes we've got to stop always blaming the forwards, because if you're not moving the ball quick enough and you're not finding them, they're not going to do anything. Like, we need to understand that, because the way we play the game is it doesn't help him one bit. But today, I just feel like Mason Mount's just heavily overused sometimes. Like, did he have to play the whole game today? Honestly, he's played how many minutes in the last?
Ruben obviously has to play again, but I feel like on how the game went, I feel like why was it Ruben that you took off and not Mount?
Yeah, like he could have took Mount off and thrown Ruben more into the middle and pushed the off right. Ruben was having a better game than Mason Mount today. And look, I don't think none of these forwards had. I agree. I mean, I think if Jester's gone with a 6 across the board, I'm going to be a bit harsh. I thought Mount was a 5, maybe a 4.5. Like, I'm going to be. I don't think he was that good. He had a couple of good shots outside the box.
Yourself there, because didn't you just say when we play as slowly as we did, we can't be too harsh on the forwards, and now you gave him the lowest rating?
Yeah, I know, but then he still did. Yeah,
like, I understand the problem in your head. I've had the same.
Yeah, this is what Chelsea do to us, right? This is what they do to your mind, because you know that they're not being helped, but at the same time, they're not doing anything. Even like he had, for me, why I look at Mount. I look at the moments that he had in the game, and he had chances in front of goal where, if you remember, he skied them over the bar. I think he had 2 or 3 shots where he skied over the bar, and I expect him sometimes to just get them on target, And maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe a 6 is probably right with just this, but I'm going to stick to a 5.5. 5.5 or a 5.
5.5 out of 5. Okay, then we'll leave him at a 6 overall for the time being. Now,
Yeah.
for me, I would probably be more inclined to go along with Jen. But like I've said a few times in the stream now, I might not have the most fairest opinion on this. But even though Werner didn't always do things great, at least I saw him do things. Havertz, I mean, I didn't see him do that many things, but I saw him try his absolute hardest to get on the end of awful crosses time after time after time. He never stood much of a chance, but I sure saw him try. And Mount, half the time I didn't even see. So that's why I might have been more inclined to go for the 5.5, but I'll be happy with the 6 as well, I suppose. Well, you know what? We gave Thiago Silva the 7.5, which was, even though we should have done a decisive chat decision, let's give him out the 6, why don't we? Timo Werner obviously came off for Christian Pulisic, but I actually thought somewhat continued his form. Obviously, there was bad moments in there, 100%. Was a bit unlucky with his shot that when he tried to volley on the turn, that the ball went away from him a little bit, and he had to stretch for it, and therefore couldn't get any direction and not much power, and it made for quite an easy save for Fabianski. That was probably the biggest chance we had. The one situation I will criticize him for heavily is when he received the ball. I can't remember from who, but it was from Ruben or Kai, one of them, I feel like. And he should have just shot first time. And then he tried to dribble around the defender and the goalie, and then he just didn't even get a target. He just put it in the side netting. I'm like, you're in the 6-yard box. You need to at least hit the target, man. Which makes me want to give him a 5.5 like Mason. Maybe a 6. I'll give him a 6 because I still saw some good things. But did I? I don't know. If I'm honest, I think we're all a little bit blindsided by the fact that we got a last-minute winner. I think if we didn't have that last-minute winner, all these ratings would be at least 1 full point, if not 2 full points lower for pretty much everyone. But maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, why don't I give Werner a 6 on then? Jen, what about you?
Not his best game today. I still think Tuchel, I don't get it. Like, I really don't get what Tuchel's doing with him tactically. Because today we were asking him to, again, hang out from the left and sort of do this, take players on and it just limit his game. Like the last game, when I think of Timo Werner, the games that he played away where he was like the focal point and he was able to just run behind and, be the main presser, should we say, and he had Havertz and Mount sort of as the two behind him. Like, I just think that's just him. And like, sometimes I just feel like we tactically just don't get it right with him sometimes. Don't get me wrong, he has, like, I don't know, moments today where he was just Werner, and I was just like, man, come on, Werner, like you got to do better there. Like, but at the same time, I agree with you. Like, it's not like he was atrocious today. It wasn't like the worst out of the 3 today, and he had some good chances. Some may say that he should have scored. I think I agree with you. The one where it landed right in front of him, he should have just hit it first time. I was screaming, just hit it first time, and he kind of closed the angle away. The more and more he went to the right, the more and more the goal was just disappearing.
I thought he was going to try and hit it back to someone after that.
Yeah, like if he. It's just, it's them little bits of decision. Like if he just hits that first time, it's a goal. And then we're sitting here saying Timo Werner 7.5.
He's now relatively confident and he still didn't even
But, look, it wasn't his best of games out of recent. Would I say it was atrocious? I don't think so. I'd give him probably a 6 as well. Yeah.
Great. There you go. Clutch, what about you?
I'd probably agree on the 6, to be honest. I'm sitting here trying to decide how we would rate other players if they did that. I don't think he was bad. I think he actually tried. So I'm not gonna be harsh. Yeah, 6. I think he was average.
There you go. Before I put it to Jester, ladies and gentlemen, please do subscribe, by the way. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers, 1,100 and a bit to go. I would love to get that by the end of the season. That would be fantastic. Not sure if we'll do it, but let's try. So everybody here that isn't subscribed yet, please do hit that big red subscribe button down below. Jester, would you go along with our collection of 6s? Oh, you would. You said you're going to give all of them.
Yeah.
How would you explain it for Timo, though?
All right. First of all, there's a difference between not having a clear-cut chance and when you have clear-cut chances, not making the most of them. And of all the forwards, he probably had the most clear-cut chances and, inside the box, point blank. I cussed him when the ball fell to him and he tried to dribble around the goalkeeper when you're 3 yards out. Just hit the ball as hard as you can. If it comes off somebody and ricochets in, great. If it comes off the post, great. You don't dribble and try to shoot it in the side netting.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just reminds me of Stimpy from Ren and Stimpy. Just the dude that just has no kind of clue sometimes. I know that. I guess that's before y'all's time, Ren and Stimpy.
I know Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, he's Stimpy, dude. He doesn't. He's like, oh, which way did I go? Sometimes it's just, dude, are you actually a footballer? And so yeah, for me, 6.
There you go. I do quickly want to highlight this because global. I mean, I respect you for always being here, even though you so often disagree with us. But that is the most confusing rating or any comment I've ever seen you put in this chat. Because whenever we slay anybody and criticize anybody, you're at our throats saying we are way too harsh. Why do we hate everyone? And then we, for once, give Werner just an average 6. You're in there. Oh, I don't give a 6 for trying. Why is that? Where's that come from? I'm so confused. But anyway, we have that 6 for Timo. Let's get to Kai Havertz. One thing I'll say, and I won't give my rating out straight away because I'm struggling. But one thing I'll say is he's struggled for a few games now, ever since really the Southampton game, weirdly. Why is that? Because since then he's played with Werner. I'm not saying it's necessarily Werner's fault as such. I think it's just the formation. I had it up on screen wrong earlier. It was more of a 1-2 than a 2-1. But Werner was still off the left, so it was kind of like I said, this half. Werner was this mixed position where he was kind of a second striker, but kind of off the left, and Mount was kind of here, but also kind of there. So it was a bit of a mix of the two, I suppose. But Kai struggles since he's playing with Werner compared to, well, I guess mostly Pulisic instead. But that's because he isn't central on his own and he can move left, right, how he wants to. He often has to drift into that 10 role where he struggles a little bit. I'm happy that he takes players on, that he tries things, but he doesn't quite come off for him. I also think, obviously, he got the rest against Arsenal, but even that rest was only, 60 minutes or whatever until he came on and until we needed him again. The guy's probably a bit tired, understandable, plays every game, throws his body on the line as much as he bloody can. But I think it was worse than Mason in different ways, weirdly. I feel like I'd probably give them the same rating, probably give him a 5.52 for me. But I might be swayed. I just said I'm not going to give him a rating, and I did. Well, ruined that. Jester, you said 6.43. Why would you give Kai a 6 as well? Especially a few people in the chat seem to have thought that he was quite clearly the worst of the 3.
Well, it's just because we made him look the worst. Really, he was very isolated. If he was on the right, he was isolated. If he was on the left, he was isolated. In the first half, he was the only runner in the box for a few times. Havertz has got to have space. He likes to play in space, and there was no space, especially as slowly as you move the ball up the pitch. The defense is set. They were playing a 5-2, probably 1-2. They were playing with a back 5 with 2 sitters in front of them, and Noble and Souček. It was Park the Bus FC. If you don't move the ball quick, if you don't have somebody that can dribble and make somebody miss and open up space, it's going to look like it did, right? So for me, Havertz was an average 6. He still runs his butt off, still closes players down. He still pressed. It was just an average game. He didn't do anything very good. He didn't do anything horribly like miss a sitter I don't even think he had a decent chance at all through the entirety of the game. So for me, it's just average 6.
Fair enough. Some people in the chat saying, he's overprotected. Why is that being isolated? Excuse not being used to Lukaku. Now, number one, some people do use it. Number two, the big difference is that Kai moves and tries to stop himself from being isolated, and it doesn't happen. Lukaku stands there and hopes to not be isolated. That's a big difference. But still, Kai wasn't great today. But just to give him a 6. Let's see what the boys think. Jem, also, initially you told me you need to leave at 5:15. So if you need to leave, do tell me, but I will get you through the subs ratings as well before you head off. But go on.
Yeah. I'm all right at the moment. I'm all right. I'm just waiting for a text. But yeah, I'm all good. Kai Havertz was the worst out of the three today. Actually, was he? Mason Mount wasn't very good as well. Do you know what is with Kai Havertz sometimes? And I don't think it's Werner. I just feel sometimes where we move the ball so slow, he's always just going to the ball because he wants it. And I don't want him to do that. I want him to be.
I feel like sometimes he just gets annoyed by everybody playing.
Yeah, it completely affects his game the way we play. Does that make sense? Like the way we move the ball so slow and that it makes it must stress him because it comes deep. And when he does receive the ball deep, I don't want him there because he's ineffective there. He picks the ball up. He had a couple of bad touches in the first half where he got caught on the ball, and it just wasn't working for him. Second half, yeah, he grew in it a little bit more, but I don't know. It wasn't I don't think it was a really good performance by him. He worked hard. He got in the box. The crosses were poor, 100%.
Yeah,
they weren't finding him. I get
that. That's one thing Havertz is not good at. It's crossing.
Yeah, but it's not that right. Ruben Loftus-Cheek will get the ball, and automatically our forwards will be attracted to the ball and go wide. I don't want you to go wide. Stay in the box. Like we need to score a goal here, but they want to go in the corner and they want to do.
If they go wide, what needs to happen is they come wide, and then Ruben needs to play them the ball, and then Ruben needs to start into the box. One of those two things needs to happen. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and it's like we want to just do 1-2s in the corner, and then they just stand next to each other. It's not like you said 1-2 move. Do you know what I mean? Like try and open up some space, and sometimes I just don't feel like it's not even just him, but we're talking about him at the moment. I don't think they help themselves sometime in the way that they're playing the game. So I don't know. For me, he wasn't great. What did I give Mount? I can't remember. 5.5.
I said 5.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably go with him the same personally. There you go.
You know what? I gave Mount a 5.5 all the same, so I'd probably agree, which puts it down to 5.5 for the time being. Before I put it to Clutch, this comment by Pedro, I think that summarized the situation very well. Havertz helps Werner be better. Havertz movement draws players in, which makes him isolated. That's why Werner plays better because it opens up space for him. That's exactly what I mean. Kai needs to do that for Timo, which makes Kai worse but Timo better. Hence why Timo is nowhere near as good when he plays with Lukaku, i.e. Arsenal game. Even though he got a goal, it's pure luck. And he was okay by himself as well, to be fair. He was pretty decent against Arsenal, one of the few that was acceptably decent, if I'm honest. But it hurts Kai because he can't make movements to create space for himself. He needs to do it for other players, which is still important as a team thing, but obviously will make his individual performance struggle a bit more. But there you go. I go 5.5. So I don't think it was quite the average 6, but I don't think it was awful, if I'm honest. Clutch, what about you? Do you agree on the 5.5? Would you go 6? Would you go either direction, higher or lower?
I'd give him the 5.5. I thought he was the worst of the front three. But just because, his movement was great, but everything after that wasn't. He just wasn't enough to get him to get into the places he needed to get. So I'd give him a 5.5.
There you go. A 5.5, which leaves us there. But Charlie is here, which I didn't realize. I'm not sure how long you've been here. I hope it hasn't been too long, my friend. Usually the StreamYard makes like a little pop sound, and that tells me someone has arrived. But for some reason, I didn't hear that sound. So I do apologize, Charlie. Obviously, I'll get your thoughts on things in a little bit, as in the more broader term. But we're on Havertz now. We've had 3 5.5s and 1 6. What rating would you give it?
I thought it was poor today. Like, I've got to be honest. Like, I think out of the 3 offered the least. I think I understand that he's isolated in it, and that does make it difficult. But I don't think he offered anything at all. Like, and he was like, it's not panic stations with Kai at all. He's been great this year in the last few months. But it's really this whole month of April. He's not been that great. And there's going to be peaks and troughs with younger players, and I think Kai might be going through maybe a little bit of a dip again potentially. But yeah, today wasn't good from him. I've got to be honest. And I'll probably would have given him a 5. I just thought he was just average. Like didn't do anything bad, but just didn't really offer anything either. So yeah, I probably would have given him a 5.
Fair dues. Gemma's just informed me he has got 5 minutes left. On that note, why don't you do Lukaku and Ziyech and then end it off with Pulisic so I can lead that into us talking about Pulisic, if that makes sense. I mean,
Lukaku's
obviously, you can give them all an A if you want, but if you have anything to say about them.
What made me laugh with Lukaku was within 2 minutes he come on the pitch, he was sweating. Like his whole head was just covered in wet. I was like, you've only been on 2 minutes and you're gaping.
I'm a man that sweats quite a bit. I don't sweat on my flipping head, but I'm also not bald, so maybe things will be different.
I think he must be taking fat burners or something. I'm not joking. I've never seen someone sweat that much so quickly. It's ridiculous.
He's not working those fat burners.
That's what I'm saying. Listen, you know, I don't know what to say with Lukaku. Like, was he better? Like, yeah, all right, he was better. He got the penalty.
He essentially won us the game.
He could have won us the game. You know,
no, but even then, he got Dawson sent off, which made it much easier for us to score after.
Yeah. All right, and he's small because he was only on for 10 minutes, to be fair to him as well. And the 10 minutes that he was on, in the small amount of time, what he did, it was a better Lukaku 10-minute performance than I've seen in 90 minutes of games that I've seen in play. So if that makes it a bit better for you guys.
I'm almost willing to guarantee he had more touches in those 10-15 minutes than he had in the whole game against Crystal Palace.
He had 6.
Just one less.
Just give him a 6 point. I don't care. 6.5, anything. I don't mind. That's fine. Ziyech 5. 5.5.
That one shot. Did he do anything else?
He didn't do anything. 5. Just give him a 5. I don't really care. I don't know what to say. He didn't do much. Yeah. Christian Pulisic. I know.
At the same time, so if we give some a rating, we need to give all of them a rating, I guess.
Yeah, Christian Pulisic. I know Jester and Clutch are must be so excited, for this one. He's back. Look,
anything less than a 10, and I'm taking it as a.
So it is. Did he do much when he come off the pitch as well? Other than pick up the ball and drive forward at the defence, I remember at one point that he done quite well. Not really. Did he do much other than score that goal? No, let's be serious. He didn't do much other than score that goal. He scored the goal. Got to give him a 7 for me. In the short space of time that he was on. He was only on for 10 minutes again, so a 7 just for getting the winner.
I'm not sure if you remember this, but we always do the star for the subs, so it's not directly comparable to the ratings that the players get that played. Well, more than 10-15 minutes. But fair. Jem, I appreciate you very, very much for coming on. Everybody, please do subscribe to Jem's channel. It's linked down in the description, GNA TV. But yeah, appreciate you for being here. And chat to you soon, mate.
Take care, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it as always. And up the Chelsea. A win we needed, eh? A blimmin' win we needed. So.
Later, brother.
See you later.
Take care, bro. All right, Charlie, I'll bring you into this discussion because I would love to know first of all, in general, what you thought about the game. Please don't mention F1. I'll just start to cry.
No, it's fine.
But obviously, you were in the same boat as myself and Jem, looking at the F1 and the football at the same time. You even had to watch the football on your phone. So you probably had it even more difficult. But what do you make of the game? The first half was just dead. Second half was better. Then I didn't understand. We'll get to that later. But I didn't understand why Tuchel made the subs when he did them. I'm not saying the subs were bad, but why then? We finally started to attack a little bit. And all of a sudden, you take 3 attackers off. I'm like, what? These 3, like Werner, Havertz, and Ruben, were the 3 that were creating things until they got subbed off. I didn't understand it at all. But I guess in the end, Lukaku won us a pen, got Dawson sent off, and Pulisic scored the winner. So I guess the subs were perfect in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the game itself, mate, it was awful. Honestly, terrible. Like, first half, dreadful. Literally, we did nothing. Absolutely nothing. Second half, as you say, it was a little bit better. There was a bit more urgency, a few more opportunities. Chalobah, I think, had a shot, a couple of chances for Werner, one in the side netting, one from the corner where I think he should do a little bit better. And then we seem to have a little bit more about us. But having said that, we still, end of the day, we still really struggled. And it's a recurring theme at home to break down teams that just come and park the bus. We really struggled to do it. And today was another example. And, you know, we were lucky today. Let's make no mistakes about it. The performance wasn't worthy of winning, in my opinion. But, you know, when you're not playing well, you take it. And let's be clear, result great, performance not so great. But end of the day, you're going home with the 3 points, and that's the most important thing. But I have to say, I think just on Lukaku very briefly, it was positive. I think him, Ziyech, and Pulisic all come on at the same time. I think it was come on about 75 minutes and about 15 minutes. And it's not a lot of time to do stuff. But I actually think Lukaku was critical to all the things that were good about that last 15 minutes.
And he was working, he was doing it. Least
yeah, and look, I know this is like people say, oh, that's basic requirements. This is £100 million football player, but we haven't been getting that recently. So I think it's actually it's better to see that we did get that today. And I don't know what commentary you boys had, but in UK stuff, basically Gary Neville was saying on comms that like when Lukaku pins a centre back and he turns him, when he gets in that position, there's not actually many players that are better than him at doing that thing of pinning a centre back, holding him off and turning him.
Do that anywhere near enough this season.
Yeah, that's the problem. But that was really good from him. He wins a penalty, fantastic. And also, I don't know if you've seen for the Pulisic goal, but his actual movement. I know. I mean, it seems weird to be talking about Lukaku and good movement today because that's another rare thing. But his movement actually created the space for Pulisic to actually be able to score. So, like, it was positive.
And them having a man sent off, of course.
Yeah, and them having a man sent off. But yeah, like he did contribute to that as well. So it was positive today. Yes, I know we're kind of like scraping the barrel for someone that's meant to have been a difference maker this season. But when the bar's been set so low by him in recent weeks, I thought this was a promising cameo from him. In terms of the other subs, I mean, Ziyech didn't really do very much. I think he had one shot. Pulisic, right place, right time for the goal. It's a nice finish. I'm not sure if you've seen Tuchel's comments afterwards about why Pulisic had kind of not been playing as much. It basically just saying that he thought he noticed he was like a little bit tired. He was talking about the international break, how he had like a lot of travelling and a lot of different time zones, and he wasn't looking as sharp in training, which is perhaps why, maybe why he's not been playing as much.
The man needs to work harder in training. He's so much better than Timo Werner. The fact that Timo Werner has this spot in the team over him, Pulisic needs to be ashamed of himself and work harder and get that space back because he clearly has the talent to have it. So just use your talent, man. Like you clearly have it. I
thought it was a bit weird to talk about the international break. I mean, like he's been to America.
Sounds like a bit of an excuse, if I'm honest.
I'm not sure about that. The international break must have been 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a bit more. So I wasn't sure about that. But he was okay. Like got the winning goal, which is great. But his contribution, other than that, was there wasn't very much. But he got the most important contribution of the lot. So he's got to be praised for that, and hopefully he can kick on from there now because he's a talented boy. I think people forget how young he is as well. I think he's still only 23 years of age. There's a high ceiling there with him, but there's just a lot of things that, like a lot of our forward players, is consistency and output need to improve. And if he can get consistency locked into his game, then we've got a top player on our hands, but we just don't see it enough. But hopefully, this might be like a little bit of a restart for him and he can press on from there. But yeah, overall, the substitution's positive. Like you, mate, I thought that I was sitting there thinking, we could have made these a bit earlier, maybe. Not much is happening in the game. And then obviously, when the subs do come around, it's like, well, hang on a second, we're actually kind of pressing forward a bit here. I felt Ruben probably should have stayed on. Didn't really have a problem with Werner going off. I felt Mount perhaps could have gone off instead. But ultimately, we won the game. So you can't really complain about the subs. But yeah, make no mistake about it. The subs won us the game, and it was an awful performance.
What rating would you give the 3 subs? Obviously, I'm not quite going to go back and then you give ratings for all of them. But
I'd agree. Ziyech 5 didn't really do anything. So I think that's fair. Lukaku, I thought Lukaku was decent. I probably agree with what Jem gave. To be fair. Okay. I think 6.5 is fair for Lukaku, and a 7 for Pulisic for getting the goal. Because that is, at the end of the day, whether he did anything else or not, he's popped up with the most important contribution of the whole game. So, yeah, I think those ratings are fair, and I'd go along with them.
Fair play. I just quickly want to touch on this comment by Adash here, saying did get bodied, but actually Rice though on that Lukaku situation. And bodied, in my opinion, is a bit harsh for that situation. But as much as he did lose out on that duel, I almost still want to give Lukaku credit for that. But why? Number one, he was always second favourite to win that with how the body were positioned when the ball got there. So he was always second favourite. It was kind of like he would have had to foul him to really get it because Rice just shielded it well. But Lukaku stayed in that duel longer than I've seen him stay in any duel since coming to Chelsea Football Club, maybe since his first game against Arsenal. He always, usually, the second he's pushed off somewhere, he gives up. And in this very occasion against Rice, he didn't. I like to see that. I was very happy to see that, if I'm honest. But I've held you off for long enough. Clutch, why didn't you go first? Pulisic first. What a moment, what a goal. Well, what did you make of his performance and how would you rate him?
I thought he looked more positive than he has in the last 2
He
times
looked
we've seen
quicker
him.
as well, I thought.
Yeah, I thought him and Ziyech were linking up quite well. He made a bursting run to kind of get the space where Ziyech made the poor shot that, I mean, if Ziyech high and confident makes that shot 9 times out of 10 when he is. So I thought Pulisic was very positive today. I didn't see anything like negative. Actually, I did. He had one opportunity where he was on the break and he kind of slowed it down and he should have just tried to play Lukaku through. He did mess that one up. But I do think overall he was pretty positive. I'm normally when I do rate Pulisic, I think I take stuff off because I'm like, he is my favorite player, so I do have to rate him accordingly, if that makes sense. I do got to judge him a little bit more. So today I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to give a 7.5.
Okay, I think that's fair. Jester, I'll let you go on Pulisic as well. Great moment. Did you agree that he looked a bit sharper, quicker, whatever, but that one dribble he had where he drove through the team, that was like, I haven't seen him do that in, I feel like, ages. Maybe since the Liverpool Cup final that I've last remember him doing things like that.
Yeah, well, he did have a very intense international break. So yeah. Let's understand that we're going to play 63 out of possible 66 games that we could have played this year. Mm-hmm. So that's 3 short of the maximum we could actually play. Plus, some of our players have been playing meaningful World Cup qualifying games the entire season. And Christian Pulisic was one of them. And he did have 3 very intense games in a very short period of time in the international
And of course, he has to travel, unlike obviously the Europe.
And yeah, there's a lot of travel involved. Not to make that as an excuse, but as far as the run that he made in the box, that's something that's at hand for him. He always makes good runs when he's allowed to get into the box and do things. If he's not playing further deep, too deep. He's around the box, in the box. He always makes the correct runs. And he did today and got the winning goal. Yeah, he did look quicker, just to answer your question. And maybe that might have something to do with it, but I'm not going to sit there and say that's an excuse.
No.
So 100%. I'm not going to use that. So, 7 for me. If I rate him too high, I'll just get slated. But he had the winning goal.
7.5 my clutch, if that helps you.
Okay, well then I'll go 7.5 too. Let's all be in agreement here. Again, he was good when he came on. The attack was better from all 3 substitutes. I thought Ziyech was probably a 6 because they played well, played quicker. Even Lukaku, I'd probably put at 6.75.
Yeah.
I don't want to give him a 7, but he was almost a 7.
It's 6.5 plus.
He was as close to a 7 as you can get without being a 7. 6.99.
6.99, fair play. I said, I would go 7.5 for Pulisic as well, and that would make it 3 7.5s against 2 7s. I just think we need to, especially when you haven't played a lot, and he hasn't even come off the bench recently a lot, and then to come on and to get that decisive winner, it's not easy. It's really not easy to come on and change the game. How many times do we bring players on and nothing happens? So fair play to him, fair play to Lukaku. I would personally probably also have given Ziyech a 6, hence why I pushed it to a 5.5. Not because I thought it was amazing, but I think to get a 5, I need to see bad things from you, and I didn't. Hence why I would have given him a 6. But yeah, Lukaku, I'm somewhere a little bit like Jester, really, kind of caught between a 6.5 and a 7. On the one hand, I want to give him credit for winning us a penalty, and he did really well. On the other hand, I'm like, if an opposition's player and that's as big and strong as Lukaku is, falls over like Lukaku did for that little pull by Dawson, I'll be fuming. But he's our player and it's doing well. At the end of the day, what did Saka do against Aspie? Just what's the right word? Just mugged off the referees, essentially. Made them think Aspie fouled him when he was the one fouling Aspie. And somehow he got away with it, even though VAR existed. Obviously, Lukaku didn't do that. He got clearly fouled, but he made more out of it. And in the end, that got the man sent off, got us a penalty. Of course, we didn't take advantage of the penalty, but that's not Lukaku's fault. So, he looked a lot better. He looked lively. He looked energetic. He looked like he was trying. I don't know why why he looked different today than other games. Sometimes it confuses me. I don't know. Maybe he needed that 60-minute run against Arsenal to find his sharpness again. Maybe. I mean, to be fair, Tuchel said before the Arsenal game that he just isn't sharp enough, fit enough, and maybe that 60 minutes against Arsenal did exactly that to him, potentially. Clutch, what would you rate Lukaku?
I agree with Jester. It was one of the more positive performances we've seen out of him. I seen him what was it when he did get mugged off by Rice? I mean, he at least tried. He was running after him left and right. He pushed and pressed. So I think Lukaku today was better than we've seen in a very long time. I'd be willing to go for a 6.5 or maybe even a 7, to be honest, because he did win the penalty. And that penalty should have been the game winner, but it wasn't. So, you know what? I'm going to give him a 7. I'm going to go a little bit higher for him as well today.
Okay. Fair dues. I think it leaves at a 6.5 regardless. The last two things we need to do before we wrap this up is, of course, a performance rating and a rating for Thomas Tuchel himself. Not sure where I put these. I guess I'll just push these a bit higher so then I get a bit more space. And why don't I put with man? Just because I have a bit of space in performance. Why don't I stick with you? What do you reckon the performance? Very late minute winner and not much going on before that. Although we say that, I mean, we had a penalty. We won that fair and square. So it's not like, it was only a penalty though, but we won the penalty. So it's fair. Unlike, Arsenal's penalty against us. It's different in my opinion. Timo had a couple of chances, that 2 real ones. So we had chances to score while West Ham had 1 double chance and that's it really. So we probably deserve to win or draw. But if anyone deserves to win, it was definitely more us than them, I would say. But still not a good performance, was it, Clutch?
Before I respond to that, the guy in the chat, Lee, there's literally nobody left on the team if you want to sell literally all those players. The academy, but I think the performance kind of speaks for itself. It wasn't the greatest thing ever. I'd probably go with a 6 because it's the same old story. If a team comes and plays a low block, we just can't break it down. We just don't have the players to break down a low block. I mean, Pulisic is supposed to be one of those players that can do it. Hasn't been doing it recently. Today he did his job. So I think it kind of speaks to the level of where we need to start looking is we need somebody who's going to break down that low block. We need Pulisic to get back into.
We also need to build ourselves a bigger pitch.
Yes, that's also something we need to do. Because it seems like it's too easy to stop us.
It's too difficult. Yeah, exactly. The small pitch makes it way too easy to just park the bus and stop us. And it would be the same with anybody. That's partly why under Jose, we were unbeaten forever, basically, at the bridge. Because we parked the bus, counter-attacked, and then our pitch is too small to do anything then. It's quite literally neat. Yeah,
so I'd probably go with the 6 today for the performance. I wasn't as happy with a lot of people today. I do think we should have done a little bit different, but I'm not going to go and say, Liverpool just scored. But
Liverpool has scored. I'm fuming.
I am too, because they've been getting battered by Alan Gordon this entire game, and all of a sudden,
it's the most typical Lampard being the manager I think I've ever had. Batters the opposition, loses anyway.
Yeah, but no, I'm going to leave it at 6.
Okay, I do quickly want to mention this now. This mentioned by Lee. Now, I have no idea where you think you have gotten this information from, because this has not been publicized by anyone remotely reliable. So I'm not sure how you've come up with that idea. And like Clutch said, I mean, it's all well and good thinking all of these players are not good enough. But then who's left? You can't just, sell 15 players. And then what? What do you think this is? And Mohammed, sorry, but you are an absolute clown. Because the only thing Tuchel is good at is changing the game during the game. Because the amount of times he gets things wrong to start with and then fixes it during the game is mind-boggling. So, if anything, I think Tuchel is way better in the game than before the game. The amount of times he's told us recently, I expected different information from them. I got it wrong. We had to change it at half-time. Even today, he needed to give the bollocking at half-time for us to show some intensity. I'm not saying that's always his fault that we don't have it from the get-go, but you could have, there's also a pre-match talk by the manager. So, he could also give them a bollocking before the game to say, remember Arsenal? Don't do that again. Yeah. But I think a lot of you guys just seem to be very unhappy that Ziyech isn't getting a lot of game time. But unfortunately, Ziyech gets injured too much. When he isn't injured, he plays. But then
We
he
know
gets injured,
Tuchel-
loses his form, and then that's it.
But we also know that Tuchel has come out and said that he doesn't like Ziyech in the back three, and we are playing a back three. So obviously Tuchel's not going to use
him because he doesn't think he plays that well, not because he doesn't like him. There.
No, that's what I mean. It has nothing to do with whether he likes him or not. He thinks he plays better in a back four than he does a back three. That's why he doesn't use him. It's that simple with Ziyech. I think Ziyech is brilliant. He's one of the reasons why I want to do a back four, is because I think in a back four he's fantastic. But
I still think he's too inconsistent. I mean, he's good on his day, but not regularly that good. If he was always as good as he is at his best, what a player. But unfortunately, he's not that. But there you go. Performance rating 6 from Clutch. Charlie, what rate would you give the performance?
I've got to be honest, but I thought the performance was poor. Like, I know we won, but it was rubbish. It really was poor today. But the fact we won, for me, probably takes it to a 5. I would have given it maybe a 3 or a 4, but because we won, I think it can probably go to a 5. But it wasn't a good performance. Like, first half, absolutely dreadful. Second half, there were improvements, but yeah, let's be honest. We can't be giving it. I can't give it more than a 5. If I'm being honest there, because that's what I saw. We weren't good, but we got the points. But yeah, it wasn't a good performance at all, in my opinion.
I would probably agree. But Jester, would you agree 5, or would you go 6 like Clutch does? Well,
just for Doug in the chat, I'll mention that Pulisic. Yes, it was a first time left-footed goal. It wasn't as easy as everybody thought, but yes, it was a left-footed shot that he scored on. So yeah,
it was a very, very, very good finish.
Very beautiful. It was a very, very good goal, unsavable, but it wasn't as easy as everybody thinks it was, because it was one time.
I'm not sure if it was unsavable because Fabianski had his hand on it, but it was a very good finish regardless.
Yeah. So for the performance, look, if we're saying 6 is an average performance, which was what that game was, just average. Everybody just went out there and wasn't great, so that makes it average. But we did win, so I have to give 6.5 because we won. Got 3 points instead of 1. So, looking at what the ratings we gave, the performance has to be a 6.5.
Yeah, it's weird. That's why I think, because I was going to agree with Charlie in terms of performance rating, but I do know that I agreed with the ratings to get us here. So it's a bit of a tough one. I would say, you said 6.5, Clutch said 6, Charlie said 5. I would say 5. Probably leaves at a 5.5, just about. In between, but just about. For me, it's just, while I understand why we struggle against low blocks, while I understand that we have our own injury concerns, especially at the back. Obviously, let's hope Reece is back for United. Let's hope whatever Christian's situation is, it's just, I don't know, whatever nerves they could be. Good luck at going to Barcelona. Like, imagine as a new big signing, even if it's on a free. Good luck with that, with those nerves, mate. He's going to miss every game with stomach cramps.
Especially with how many more people the Camp Nou holds.
Yeah. Like I say, it's just we need to do more. Like against the B or C side of West Ham, it can't be that we do absolutely nothing in the first half. That it needs like a penalty. That not lucky at all, but it needs a penalty for Thiago Silva being halfway into the opposition's half, heading it forward to Lukaku, and him being pulled back by a stupid defender. Obviously, I mean, because I didn't back Lukaku to score anyway, if I'm honest. The defender's just an idiot. I think Lukaku probably wouldn't have scored anyway. Maybe he would have done, but when was the last time Lukaku did score any sort of remotely difficult goal? So yeah, that's why I would go 5. But not Jorginho. Thomas Tuchel as the last one. Let me just push these few up so I have a bit of space here. Thomas Tuchel. Esther, why don't you go first? What rate would you give him today in terms of lineup? There's not really much he could have done with the injuries we have, and I guess his triple sub, as much as I thought the timing wasn't ideal, it won us the game, so you can't really be too critical of him, really.
Yeah, if anybody's slating him for the lineup, who else you want him to play? Yeah, I know maybe your favorite didn't get in. My favorite didn't start. I'm not going to slate him for that because the front three he's been playing have actually been producing goals. The problem is we've been giving up way too many.
Yeah.
We didn't today. So I can't really slate him for that. I thought the subs were way too late. You know, we needed this 3 points. We need 3 points. What is it, Thursday against? Yeah, I think it's Thursday against Man U. And then we need 3 points against whenever we play Everton. We need all of those. So we need to secure this thing just in case we get a rash of injuries and we've got top 4 secured. I'm going to say 6.5 for Tuchel.
Okay, cool. Clutch, what about you?
Justin pretty much said everything I was gonna say. You know, the only problem I have with Tuchel is, for whatever reason, it's the timing of the subs. I don't know why. I mean, sure, at the time it was bad because we started to get a little bit of attack, but like the 30, 40 minutes before that, we had almost nothing going in attack, and we didn't have anything deciding that we wanted to come out. Like, it was very obvious within the 50 to 60 minute mark that somebody needed to come on and break down the low block, whether it be Ziyech, whether it be Pulisic. It needed to happen.
But did it need to happen, though? Because then before we made the subs, we got better without making subs.
For that, 5 minutes of time. Like, you cannot, it cannot happen that way.
That 5 minutes of time was stopped by the subs.
For sure. That could happen. But you're also making that gambling, that risk that if you keep on these same players, which we know their profile is not breaking down low blocks. That's not how they do it. Werner especially. Then why are you going to keep doing it? Like, he's a smart man, and he's a very good manager. He should know better.
I just don't think Ziyech is the guy to break down low blocks at all. I know everyone says this all the time, but Ziyech never plays useful on the ground part. He gets it off the ground all the time.
I mean, he's not the player I would have put on. I know Pulisic has been bad, but he's the only player other than Kovacic who has the profile to break a low block. You have to let him try.
I don't think any of them do, if I'm honest, but yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably agree with the... You know what? I'm going to go a little bit higher for Tuchel. I'm going to give him a 7, even though I think it's more probably along the lines of the 6.5, but I'm going to go higher.
Okay. Charlie then. A 6.5 and a 7 so far. What do you think? What would you give Thomas Tuchel today?
I don't think he was bad at all today. Like, in terms of the starting lineup, what else can he put out? Let's be perfectly honest. Yes, we had options on the bench, attacking wise, but none of those 3 guys on form deserve to start ahead of the 3 that started. So, and then midfield picks itself. We had no Reece James, so Ruben had to play right wing back. Christensen pulled out, so we basically played the best team that in the best form available to us. So I had no issues with the lineup at all. Performance, obviously, poor in the first half, but it did get better. The only thing I would disagree with is the timing of the subs. I do think sometimes he leaves it too late, and we can say that today. But ultimately, the subs have won us the game. So is that really a valid criticism for today? Maybe, maybe not. But the fact of the matter is, the subs won us the game, even though we think they're a bit late. I think 15 minutes is not long to make an impact, but obviously, it was enough today. But yeah, the only thing I sort of find a little bit frustrating with Tuchel sometimes is how long he waits for a sub. But otherwise, I thought pretty good today. I'd agree with Clutch. I think I'd probably go with the 7.
Fair. Now, for me, one thing I read at halftime, a tweet by a journalist that was obviously set in the press box behind the dugout, saying Thomas Tuchel is clearly bored. He sat down the whole 45 minutes, which is not like him at all. Not a word for his players, the referee, the 4th referee, nothing. That I don't like. If your team plays like that, now, number one, he needs to get one thing fixed. Get your team ready for games when we actually start the game. Because other than against Arsenal, we started the game actually okay, weirdly. But otherwise, please, anyone tell me the last time we started a game well. Someone tell me. And yeah, it's partly the players, sure. But at the end of the day, isn't it the manager's job to make sure the players are ready? And he's not doing that. And then he's not even bothered in the game. I understand his frustrations. Now, Rudiger told him he's leaving. Christensen's leaving and just had to be taken out the team. So Reece James keeps being injured or maybe injured or everything, whatever else. He probably doesn't want to play Timo Werner, but he has to because he's somehow the only one in reasonable form out of the actual attackers, if we take our Mount out of it. But I don't like that. I don't like the blaming the pitch stuff. I don't like the Pulisic was a bit tight. Like, either you give me a real reason why you're not playing him, or you just don't say anything. Can't be bothered with that. But yeah, they're not doing anything in the first half. I'm like, come on, the team clearly needs you, because Aspie isn't going to be the vocal captain. Thiago Silva barely speaks English, so who's going to do it? So we need him as the manager to do it, especially when Rudiger is on the pitch, because usually the only one that will do those things is Rudiger. So when Rudiger isn't here, he needs to do that, and he didn't do that. But there's not much to fault. I would probably go for a 6.5, sorry. But because, you know what, I will say 6.5. And why not, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat, if you're still here, number one, I appreciate you. Number two, please put your rating for Thomas Tuchel in the chat, because we have 2 6.5s and 2 7s. So I would love to know what you would go for. If you put if you put lower than 6.5, it's going to count as 6.5. If you put higher than 7, it's going to count as 7. Adash, die. You're getting timed out. I would block you, but then I would just forget to unblock you. So, and that seems harsh. So I'm just going to time out you, but unlucky. Okay, 2 7s, 1 8. You've ruined it again, Cracky Pants. Cheers, mate. 1 6, 1 7, a 10 plus. All right, mate. Ruin it. Doesn't count. 5, 6.5, 7, 7. I think the 7 so far just about win. Okay.
Real quick, while you're doing this, Pogba's going to PSG.
Who?
Paul Pogba is going to PSG. It's all but confirmed. So he can't sign a contract, of course, but it's the negotiations are done. They're just waiting to put pen to paper. Dembele
Signed a contract, couldn't he?
I think a pre-contract, but not. I don't know the ins and outs of some of that.
Yeah, you can sign I think you can sign a pre-contract agreement, but then obviously
Right.
you can't sign your actual contract until your current one's expired.
Right.
So yeah, you can agree to join essentially.
Sure? Couldn't he sign a contract now that becomes active on June 1st or whatever?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, and Dembele to Chelsea if Lukaku leaves. If not, it's going to PSG as well.
Dembele,
then-
is that not Lukaku?
Lukaku could be going to PSG as well. So
yeah, if people find it interesting, by the way, Hasan Salihamidzic, who is the director of football essentially at Bayern Munich, said in a TV interview on German TV, basically that Lewandowski is not going anywhere this summer. Yeah, that's what he said. So any minor rumors that are flying out there, if Lewandowski leaves Bayern, he will. They might be after Lukaku. Unlikely. But yeah, I think we're going to round it out here. Obviously, I have to say it again. Thank you, Pulisic, because my mood was so far in the mud, and you've saved me at least a little bit. But yeah, I was very much in the mud, and now I feel a bit better. But yeah, so thank you for that, Christian. Thank you for that. I'm almost feeling inclined to watch Captain America movie tonight. But even though I don't even like Captain America, the movie. But hey, there you go. Yeah, we things are not easy. Who knows when we're going to have new owners announced? Who knows which players we're going to sign? Who knows if it's going to be possible to sign 2 good centre-backs and Rice or Tchouameni and maybe an attacker? Because maybe we don't fully need an attacker, but none of our attackers are that good. So unless Mount and Havertz and Pulisic and maybe Callum when he's back fit at some point, if ever, and I guess Timo, maybe they can take another step next season. But if we have so much money to spend on defenders and midfielders, yeah, it's not easy these days. But hey, at least we got an important 3 points. We go again on Thursday against the team alongside Arsenal, who we always bottle it against. Global, yeah, kind of do, but obviously I'm thinking we force Aspie to stay, and then we 3 centre-backs should do. Obviously, and Levi Cole will probably coming back from loan, hopefully sticking around. But yeah, please do follow all my guests on their social medias. Of course, Jem was here until a little bit ago. His link is down in the description, as is Charlie's channel, The Blues Brothers. Please do follow Jesters and Clutch on Twitter. Their links are down in the description below. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you very much. Subscribe if you haven't already. Smash the like button as well on your way out. Just one click of a button doesn't cost you any money, barely cost you any time. So why don't you just do that for me? But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and we'll see you next time.